Hello, my name is Nancy, and at 29, I'm passionately pursuing my career goals. I currently live with my husband, Benjamin. Lately, I've been giving serious thought to starting a family. However, Benjamin believes we should focus on establishing a new home before considering children. As a result, we are both putting in long hours to save for our future residence. While I yearn to become a family sooner rather than later, Benjamin's firm stance becomes evident whenever we discuss the idea of children. He consistently stresses the importance of securing our home first, which leaves me feeling disheartened, as it often seems like he overlooks my feelings. I find myself compelled to work even harder to contribute to our savings. We have been married for a year, and I've begun to notice a troubling pattern in our relationship. Benjamin rarely considers my viewpoints. This habit has lingered since our dating days. While I once admired his decisiveness, I now understand that mutual respect for each other's opinions is essential in a marriage. I'm increasingly concerned about the stability of our relationship, especially with the influence of his parents nearby. Benjamin often visits them, claiming he's saving money, yet I have noticed him frequently spending time with colleagues, enjoying drinks, and not sticking to a budget. It baffles me how he expects me to adhere to strict saving standards while he indulges in certain luxuries. His frugality even extends to minor details like conserving hot water and turning off lights too soon, rules he seems to apply only to me. Our relationship is feeling increasingly unbalanced. Despite my growing frustration, he believes it's reasonable to impose his views on others. Every time we visit his parents, the tension rises. It's been a year since you got married. We'd love some good news soon. My in-laws often chime, eager to meet their future grandchild. In these moments, I catch Benjamin casting disapproving glances, silently urging them to avoid such discussions. As this pressure mounts, I find myself at a crossroads, questioning how we can strike a balance between our dreams and the practicalities of our life together. While we both long for a child, Benjamin insists we should establish our home first before expanding our family. It feels unfair that my in-laws press me about having a baby rather than addressing Benjamin, who seems indifferent to my feelings on the timing. Although I want to speak up, I often feel silenced by their relentless expectations. After dinner, Benjamin steps out for a smoke and remarks, "Nancy, you're working hard, but if you really want to be a housewife, maybe you should consider quitting your job and focusing on home life. That might be why you're not getting the attention you need from me." It's as if he's suggesting that my career is the reason we can't start a family, which is both unfair and untrue. Benjamin himself doesn't seem ready for children anytime soon. Frustration bubbling over, I shot back at my in-laws. "Benjamin was the one who encouraged me to keep working, so why don't you talk to him before lecturing me again?" My patience was wearing thin. I want children too, but Benjamin is the one who isn't ready. Please direct your concerns to him instead of constantly criticizing me. My words seemed to take my in-laws by surprise, and I excused myself from the table, heading for the door. As I approached the entrance, I spotted Benjamin casually smoking, offering no words of comfort as I climbed into the car. A friend who had joined us for dinner followed me out, unaware of the tension. "Are you leaving already?" she remarked, her tone light. Exhausted from the constant pressure from my in-laws and Benjamin's indifference, I declared, "I won't be visiting your parents' house anymore." Benjamin looked at me, taken aback. "Why not? We can save on food costs, right? Besides, you want a home and kids soon, don't you?" Fed up, I snapped, "If it's really about saving, maybe you should cut back on your drinking and smoking instead of driving to your parents just to save on a meal. Why can't you find savings in those areas too? Everyone needs a break." I voiced my frustration, recalling how Benjamin had always imposed restrictions on me, like limiting hot water use and enforcing lights out by 9 p.m., all in the name of saving money. He seemed to think that these changes required no real sacrifice on his part. If I'm the only one making these adjustments, then I don't even want this house. I'm so tired of it. You never give up anything yourself, but you're perfectly fine demanding sacrifices from others. Benjamin tried to downplay my concerns, suggesting they weren't significant, but I firmly countered, "No, this is a big deal. Do you realize how much patience?" I had to summon every ounce of patience as I endured Benjamin's ongoing pretense in front of his parents, acting as if I was the reason we couldn't have grandchildren. It infuriated me further. I'm tired of the pressure about grandchildren. It's not me who's hesitant about having children, it's Benjamin. I've been clear about wanting them soon, so please stop this relentless pressure. My voice was laced with exasperation. Seeing Benjamin struggle to respond to my uncharacteristic outburst brought me a bitter sense of satisfaction, but it didn't resolve our underlying issues. Feeling uncertain about what to do next, I stared out the car window, ignoring him. A turning point came a month later when my father's brother passed away, leaving behind several pieces of land and a luxurious mansion. Benjamin's eyes widened when he learned about my uncle's impressive estate. "I didn't realize you had such a remarkable relative," he commented. A few days after hearing about my inheritance, I decided to discuss the details with a lawyer in our apartment, knowing the matter was exclusively mine. Sensing Benjamin's discomfort with the idea of inheritance, I politely asked him to step out of the room to avoid any potential complications. After about 5 hours of detailed explanations from the lawyer, I thanked him and saw him out. To my surprise, when I turned around, Benjamin was gone. Assuming he had stepped out to give us some privacy, I began preparing dinner, unaware of the changes that lay ahead. 4 months later, Benjamin approached me with an unexpected confession. His invitation for a drive filled me with a mix of excitement and curiosity. As we drove into a residential area, my curiosity morphed into confusion when we stopped in front of a house I didn't recognize. Benjamin pressed the intercom, and to my astonishment, my in-laws emerged, not from their usual home but from this new one. My father-in-law beamed and exclaimed, "You finally made it. So when are you and Nancy moving in?" His next words were anything but welcoming. He'd accused me of being a selfish daughter-in-law and of shifting the responsibility of having children onto Benjamin. I shot Benjamin a disapproving glance, bewildered as to why he would bring me here after I had made it clear that I no longer wanted to visit my in-laws. Seeking clarity, I asked him for an explanation. He replied, almost too calmly, "Don't be so upset. If we live together, it can help mend the relationship between you and my mom. Besides, this will be our new home from now on, so you should be more cooperative about the children's issues." His revelation stunned me. I had explicitly stated my reluctance to live with them, yet here he was, announcing plans that were already in motion without my agreement. The house, as Benjamin explained, was a two-family residence. "My plan has always been for us to eventually live with my parents. So what's the problem with living in a two-family house now?" he asked, as if the arrangement should have been obvious. As I mulled over the situation, the implications of living in such a house became increasingly clear, especially regarding our finances. Constructing such a grand residence seemed beyond our means, and I couldn't grasp how Benjamin managed it. "My dad and I chipped in the money, so our savings are empty, but that's fine, right?" he said nonchalantly, revealing a complete disregard for our mutual financial planning. He then added, "I heard your uncle's inheritance was about $720,000. If you use that money to repay us for the cost of this two-family house, it should all work out, huh?" His assumption that my inheritance would simply cover these expenses without my consent left me astounded. The audacity of his plan was infuriating. The idea that I would finance these arrangements unilaterally was not only presumptuous but deeply unsettling. Frustrated by the entire ordeal, Benjamin dug into his bag and pulled out a pre-filled divorce form with his name already scrawled across it. "Your money is our money. If you don't like living together, let's just get a divorce," he declared confidently. Taking the form from his hand, I replied resolutely, "Fine. If those are the only options, then divorce is the better choice for me." I slipped the divorce form into my bag, turned my back on him and my stunned in-laws, and walked away without acknowledging their reactions. As I exited, I casually added, "By the way, I renounced my uncle's inheritance." Benjamin stood frozen, his face a mix of confusion and disbelief. Without waiting for a response, I caught a bus back to our apartment. Once home, I filled in my name on the divorce form that already bore Benjamin's signature, finalized it, and promptly submitted the divorce papers. Then I went to a home improvement store, purchased several cardboard boxes, and began preparing for my move. Realizing I couldn't handle the move alone, I hired a moving company. Fortunately, it was a slow season for relocations, which meant I could arrange a quick transition. As I packed, I heard Benjamin arrive at the door. I had the chain lock on and called out, "Sorry, I've got the chain on. I'm not sure what you might do in your current state of anger. Besides, I need to finish packing. Could you stay at your parents' house for a few days?" Defiantly, Benjamin replied, "I won't accept a divorce." His statement surprised me. "But you handed me the divorce form, didn't you? Signing those papers means you agree to the divorce, you know." Benjamin looked puzzled and frustrated, quickly shifting the topic. Why would you give up on a $720,000 inheritance? Normally, you'd inherit it, he questioned, clearly having caught snippets of information about the inheritance but misunderstanding the situation. It seemed he had overheard some details about the $720,000 and, in a rush, had gone to my in-laws. They, in turn, impulsively bought the two-family house without considering the full implications. I made it clear that the discussion about the inheritance was mine to handle, and renouncing it was my decision, made specifically to avoid entanglements like this. Given the complexities of my uncle's estate, renouncing the inheritance seemed the wisest choice. Despite the $720,000 value, the costs associated with his assets were enormous. The mansion required demolition, the land needed substantial upkeep, and he had accrued significant debts. Strangely enough, despite having 2 sons, 2 daughters, a wife, and grandchildren, they all chose to renounce their claims, leaving the inheritance solely to me. When I explained this to Benjamin, he was incredulous. No way. So you're saying that even with $720,000, there wouldn't have been much left? That sounds like fraud. I clarified that after a thorough discussion with my lawyer, it became clear the inheritance was more of a burden than a blessing. Unfortunately, it seemed someone had eavesdropped on part of our conversation and misunderstood the context. My explanation left Benjamin speechless, and it seemed he finally realized the gravity of his mistake. It's too late now, I firmly told him. You betrayed my trust. We've already filed for divorce, and you and I are no longer a couple. Why are you hinting that you don't want the divorce? If you truly didn't want to separate, you should have followed me when I returned. I reminded him of the consequences of his and his father's decisions, especially regarding their investment in the two-family house, without considering all the facts. Your mother's opinion on the divorce doesn't change our reality. Her lack of financial experience might have prevented her from understanding the true value of money. With a heavy sigh, I realized that listening to his complaints about his parents was no longer my concern. If we had still been married, perhaps I might have entertained such discussions, but under the current circumstances, it was no longer appropriate. You haven't submitted the divorce papers yet, have you? I asked. He pleaded desperately. If you do it now, we can still be a couple. Please, let's live together in that two-family house. But I had already submitted the papers. There was no turning back. It's pointless now, I replied firmly. His face fell, a picture of bewilderment and loss as he stood at the apartment door. While I believed he had brought this situation upon himself, I couldn't let him linger outside indefinitely. After a brief moment of considering sending him away, I decided I had no time to waste and continued packing. Eventually he left, and I proceeded with my plans, notifying my workplace about the divorce. Given that my boss had acted as our mediator, I felt compelled to explain the situation to my coworkers during lunch break, many of whom had celebrated with us at our wedding. Unexpectedly, Benjamin burst into my department while I was discussing this with my colleagues. It's absurd that you're talking about the divorce. I wish you hadn't mentioned it, he exclaimed. He then proceeded to explain to everyone that he had assumed I had inherited a significant estate, which had led to his impulsive suggestion of buying the two-family house. Faced with the choice between divorce and living together, I chose divorce. As a result, Benjamin found himself increasingly ostracized at work, while my colleagues extended their sympathy toward me. The discomfort of the situation at his job grew so unbearable that he eventually resigned. During this tumultuous time, a male colleague approached me. I've actually liked you for a long time, he confessed. I hope we can build a home where we can communicate as a couple and work things out together. His unexpected confession offered a glimpse of a potentially different and more understanding partnership in the future.
I'm not your grandmother. You were born from a low-educated woman who married into the family, so you're just a stranger. There's no way I'd get you a present. How shameless can you be? Here we go again. Obvious favoritism towards the other grandkids. The other grandkids gets gifts, but my daughter doesn't. Fine, if we're just strangers, then we'll be strangers from now on. Goodbye, Mother. I'm Mary Stamper, 35 years old. I got married at 28 and now live with my husband and our 5-year-old daughter, Lily. She's in kindergarten and has a blast playing in the mud every day. Her smile brightens my hectic days. But life hasn't always been this smooth. A lot happened up until recently. I grew up in a children's home since I was in junior high. My father passed away in a car accident when I was young, and my mother raised me on her own. She worked so hard, but by the time I was in junior high, she passed away too. With no one else to rely on, I ended up in a children's home. There were younger children at the home, each dealing with their own family situations, so as one of the older kids, I naturally started looking after everyone. After graduating high school, I set out on my own. I lived alone in a cheap apartment and worked a clerical job. Going from a lively place to a quiet, solitary life felt lonely at times, but I got used to it. After a few months, I grew accustomed to the routine of my quiet job and life. One day, as I was passing by a wedding venue, I saw a bride and groom walking down the chapel stairs in a beautiful wedding dress. The sight filled my world with color. Up until then, I'd been living without any real purpose. But in that moment, I found a big dream. After that, I devoted myself entirely to chasing that dream. A few years later, I attended a wedding for one of my friends from the children's home where I met a man. That man is now my husband, Ken Stamper.
Are you a friend of the bride?
Yes, we grew up together. How about you?
I work with the groom. He's my junior at the company.
That casual conversation blossomed into a connection. We started dating. Ken graduated from a prestigious university and worked in sales at a major trading company. He was the definition of an elite, but was humble and kind. Those traits drew me to him, and we eventually got engaged. The day came to meet Ken's family. That day left a lasting, shocking impression on me. Hello, my name is Mary. I've been dating Ken. I carefully chose a blue dress for the occasion and went to meet his family. Ken's father had passed away a few years ago, so his mother lived alone.
Oh, so you're the one Ken chose. Ken said he wanted to introduce a wonderful woman, so I was looking forward to meeting you, but you seem a bit plain.
I was taken aback by her blunt remarks.
Mom, what are you saying? She's here to meet you, so of course she's dressed modestly.
Ken quickly stepped in to support me, and I felt a bit relieved, but his mother didn't ease up.
Which university did you attend? You know, in this world, jobs are determined by which college you go to. My son and his brother's wife went to the same university. In other words, we're an elite family. So what about you?
She looked me over from head to toe, her eyes scrutinizing me. I couldn't afford to go to college.
What? Don't tell me you only have a high school diploma.
I couldn't lie. I didn't attend college, but I did graduate from a fashion design school. As I was explaining, she widened her eyes in disbelief.
Ken, this woman didn't even go to college? Is she really okay for you?
She looked at Ken as if accusing him.
Mom, Mary is more capable than most college grads.
Oh, what are you saying? In this world, your worth is determined by where you graduated from. You're only working at a top company because you graduated from a well-known university. Speaking of which, what do Mary's parents do?
My parents passed away. My father died when I was little, and my mother passed away when I was in junior high.
Oh, so what happened after that? Did you have relatives who took care of you?
No, I grew up in a children's home.
What? A children's home? So that's why you're so lowly educated.
Her disdainful attitude toward me was evident.
Ken, you need to reconsider. A girl raised in a children's home can't possibly be a decent person.
Mom, calm down. Her upbringing has nothing to do with who she is now. Mary has worked hard on her own to make it this far.
Oh, really? Then what kind of job does this low-educated person do?
I graduated from a fashion school and now work in the clothing industry.
Oh, in retail, like those people who say, welcome to customers? That's a job for part-timers or temp workers. I see, so you're doing low-level work because you only have a high school diploma.
Actually, I design and create clothing, not just sell it.
Oh, so you're working in a factory. That's even lower-class work. I heard most of that work is done overseas now, so I'm surprised there's still a place for it nearby. Honestly, I'm shocked in many ways.
Watching her disdainful expression, Ken spoke up again.
Mom, Mary's clothing designs are incredible. I was amazed the first time I saw her work.
Sure, I suppose if someone can do something you can't, it's impressive. Especially since Ken was always bad at home economics and could never use a sewing machine.
I smiled to myself because Ken had always respected my work.
But still, I thought he'd find someone more accomplished.
He brought home a lowly educated girl working at a factory.
Excuse me, Mother,
Don't call me Mother so casually. With your low education and unimportant job, you'll be dependent on Ken's income once you're married. That means my monthly allowance will stop. If I lose that, I won't be able to make ends meet. Ken, are you really going to take this lowly educated girl and abandon your own mother?
It was clear she was more concerned about her own future than our marriage. Ken had told me about the allowance situation when he proposed. Since his mother was living on a pension, Ken had been helping her financially since he started working. It seemed she was taking out her frustrations on me, worried that my presence would threaten her stability.
Mom, don't worry. I'll keep sending the allowance, so please let us get married.
With that, we finally received her reluctant blessing. However, she didn't once address me by my name that day. A few months later, we held our wedding ceremony, but Ken's mother didn't attend. We had even planned a surprise just for her at the ceremony, and Ken had urged her to come. But she didn't show up. Ken was deeply disappointed. The one silver lining was that I became close with his older brother's wife, Mia, through the wedding. Mia already had one child and was 9 months pregnant with her second. Despite being heavily pregnant, she attended our wedding. I arranged with the venue staff to serve her only soft drinks, and I made sure she had blankets to keep warm.
Mary, you're so thoughtful. Today's ceremony was lovely and you have such great taste. I feel like we're going to get along wonderfully.
After my difficult interactions with my mother-in-law, I'd been unsure if I'd fit into Ken's family. But thanks to Mia, I felt a bit more hopeful. A month later, Mia safely gave birth to her second child. I visited her in the hospital to congratulate her, and there I unexpectedly ran into Emily.
Oh, hello, Emily. Oh, look who's here. To think you managed to hold a wedding even without me there.
She immediately started with the sarcasm. Now, Emily, she's here to celebrate the baby. Here, would you like to hold the baby? She handed the baby to our mother-in-law, who softened instantly and fell silent. I silently thanked Mia. And so, despite our marriage, my relationship with my mother-in-law remained strained. Then, after the wedding, I discovered I was pregnant, and the following year, I gave birth to our daughter, Lily. However, unlike when Mia had her baby, my mother-in-law didn't come to meet Lily. Mia, on the other hand, visited with her 2 young children to congratulate us.
Congratulations, Mary.
Thank you so much, Mia. I'm so grateful you came, especially with 2 little ones.
Of course. As a senior mom and your sister-in-law, it's the least I can do. Having your first child is such a big step, and I remember how lonely it can feel. And since you don't have other family nearby, I thought I'd come support you.
I doubt Mother will come around, though. Yes, it does seem that way. I had informed my mother-in-law about my pregnancy, but she never once checked in on me. I decided not to stress myself by visiting her during my pregnancy. I took maternity leave from work and prepared for the baby at home, though I was still anxious as the due date approached. Mia, however, frequently reached out to support me. When I told her I was expecting, she immediately congratulated me. She shared advice on managing morning sickness and what essentials to prepare for the baby. She was truly a lifeline during that lonely time. And thanks to her support, I safely welcomed Lily into the world. She's adorable. Girls are so different, aren't they? I have 2 boys, but seeing a little girl like her makes me want one too. It's a shame Mother isn't here to see her. I wish she'd come to meet her granddaughter too. But I suppose she still doesn't like me. She occasionally talks to Ken, but she's avoided seeing me entirely. Now that there's a cute granddaughter, maybe things will change. I'll do my best to help improve things between you 2. Unfortunately, not long after, Mia's family had to move overseas for her husband's work. I'm sorry, Mary. I said I support you, but now we'll be far away. My husband's transfer is indefinite and we're not sure when we'll return. No need to apologize, Mia. Thank you for everything. Take care, especially with the kids being so young. With that, Mia's family moved abroad, and we said our farewells. A while after Mia's departure, we planned Lily's baby blessing ceremony. Since my mother-in-law now lived alone and her beloved older son's family was abroad, I thought she might be lonely, so I invited her. Mother, we're planning Lily's baby blessing soon. Would you like to join us? I'd love for you to meet her.
You certainly have some nerve, don't you? You're just looking for a handout from me, aren't you? I can read right through your low-level thinking.
Excuse me?
Ever since you married into the family, you've been all about the money. You've ruined Ken, making him as greedy as you. You're nothing but a burden on our family.
Mother, what are you talking about?
Oh, don't play dumb. You stole Ken from me, and then brought this whole mess into our lives. This is why I can't stand low-educated people.
She abruptly hung up. I had no idea what she was referring to. 5 years passed, and my relationship with my mother-in-law remained as strained as ever. No matter when we saw her, she always gave me a harsh glare. But one day, she unexpectedly called me. "Hello, Mother. Is everything okay?" She rarely called me, so I was worried something might be wrong.
Do I need a reason to call? Anyway, the big news is that my eldest son's family is finally coming back from overseas.
She sounded unusually cheerful. "Oh, I see."
Yes, I can't wait to see my precious grandsons again.
She had always shown a strong preference for her older son's family, especially her grandsons. Though Lily and I visited her on holidays, she barely acknowledged her as her granddaughter.
We're having a welcome back party for them, and you'll be responsible for all the preparations. Even someone with your limited skills should be able to manage that. Let's go with a Christmas-themed party since they'll be back at the end of December. Given that you work in fashion, you should at least be able to handle the decorations.
I was happy about Mia's family returning and agreed to help with the party setup. Maybe this would be an opportunity to improve things between us. On the day of the party, I arrived early with 5-year-old Lily to get everything ready. We brought along a medium-sized Christmas tree and ornaments from home, as well as food supplies in our car. As expected, Emily hadn't prepared anything.
You're late. Hurry up, or my eldest son's family will arrive before you're finished.
I'm sorry, Ken got called into work unexpectedly, so he'll be here a bit later.
Is that so?
Though we were supposed to come together, Ken had been called back to the office, so it was just Lily and me.
Well, hurry up and get started.
She was as cold as ever, but Lily and I were used to it. As we were decorating, I heard the front door open. "Hello, Mother. How have you been?" Mia arrived with her 2 children, who had grown so much. Emily greeted them with a big smile, a stark contrast to how she treated us.
Oh, welcome home. I've been so well. Was it cold outside? Oh, come on in, quickly. Where's Tom?
Oh, sorry. Tom has to go greet his office colleagues after being away, so he'll join us later.
Oh, what a shame. So this is the big brother and this little guy is the younger one, right? Boys are just adorable.
She doted on Mia's sons without acknowledging Lily or me, even though we were right there. "Oh, Mary, you're here too. And Lily, you've grown so much. Girls are so much fun to dress up, aren't they? I love her outfit today. Such a great sense of style." Lily beamed with pride at Mia's kind words. Mia's attentiveness was as wonderful as ever.
Oh, that reminds me. Today's a Christmas party, so the kids need presents.
She handed out gifts with a warm smile, saying,
Here you go, big brother, and here's one for the little guy. I hope you like them.
Mia's children thanked her politely.
Aren't they such smart kids, saying thank you so properly?
Seeing this, Lily hesitantly asked,
Grandma, where's my present?
Emily's face twisted into an angry scowl.
A present? How greedy. I'm not your grandmother. Why would I have a present for you?
Shocked, Lily burst into tears and clung to me, crying.
Mommy, why is Grandma mad at me? Did I do something wrong? You put your child up to begging for a present? This is why I can't stand people like you with no education. You and your daughter are outsiders in this family. My sons went to elite universities, but you're just a high school graduate with a low-class job. I don't recognize you as family. You're just a stranger to me.
I couldn't stay silent any longer. Mother, that's cruel. You made us decorate everything, but you call us strangers?
Well, you are strangers. You're not related to me by blood, and who knows if that child is even Ken's. With your background, it's hard to trust who you might have been involved with.
Mia intervened, trying to stop her. Mother, please. There are children here.
Oh, right. Leave it to Mia to think of things like that. That's the difference between someone with a degree and you, Mary. You know, Mia has been sending me monthly support without me even asking. She's sent around $10,000 each year, which has been such a big help to my lifestyle.
Mia looked puzzled upon hearing this. Then my mother-in-law, forgetting about the grandchildren nearby, started to laugh haughtily. I couldn't take it anymore. Not only was she treating me as an outsider, but she was also doing the same to Lily. I had endured so much because she was Ken's mother, but not anymore. Mother, I need to speak with you. I've put up with this for Ken's sake, but I can't tolerate it any longer. I'm done with this relationship. You've always treated Lily and me as strangers, so from now on, we'll respect that. I took Lily by the hand and left Emily's house. As we were leaving, I saw her sneer as if she had won. Outside, we ran into Ken, who had just arrived from work. I told him everything that had happened. Ken, I can't do this anymore. I try to make it work because she's your mother, but she's crossed the line. I'm stopping the financial support. She's made it clear that she'll never consider us family. Ken listened carefully and agreed. A month later, we received an unexpected visit from my mother-in-law. She entered our home without even a greeting.
I heard from Tom that Mia was visiting. Ah, there you are.
She didn't even look at me or Lily, focusing only on Mia. It turned out Mia was visiting after returning from overseas and was spending time with her kids at our house. Mother, what brings you here? Emily completely ignored me, focusing on Mia with an insincere smile.
Mia, don't you think you've forgotten something this month?
Huh? I'm not sure what you mean, Mother.
Oh, come on, the support money, of course. I know you've been busy since coming back, so I understand if it slipped your mind.
Mia looked utterly confused. Mother, I have no idea what you're talking about.
Oh, don't play dumb. I know you're considerate because Mary here is a bit sensitive about money matters, but there's no need to be modest. I just want to know when I can expect this month's support.
Mother, I've never sent you any support money.
What?
Emily froze in shock.
You've never sent me money? Not even once?
No, Mother. I've never provided you with any financial support. She was speechless, her mind clearly reeling from this new information. Mother, why did you think I was the one sending you money? We're a single-income family, and we don't have that kind of money to spare.
But the money was always transferred with the name Mary Stamper on it.
Mia took a closer look at the bank passbook Emily handed her. Mother, look carefully at the name. It says Mary Stamper, not Mia Stamper.
Mary? You mean...
She turned slowly to face me, looking at me as if seeing me for the first time.
Mary? So all this time, you were the one providing the financial support?
The arrogance she had displayed moments ago vanished entirely, and she looked genuinely shocked. Yes, Mother. When we got married, you said that financial support was a condition of your approval. So I continued sending it every month.
Now that you mention it, I did say something like that. But I thought the name on the account used to be Ken's, and then it changed.
Yes, when we bought our home, Ken took on a loan, so I took over the support. We even discussed this with you back then.
Oh.
She seemed to process all this slowly, realizing she had misjudged the entire situation.
But how can this be? You're just a high school graduate working a simple job, aren't you? Weren't you working in a factory?
No, Mother, I'm not a factory worker. I design wedding dresses. Despite my multiple attempts to explain my work, she had dismissed me every time.
You're saying that you have a stable income even without a degree?
Ken stepped in, growing tired of her constant disregard for my work.
Mom, it's about time you stopped looking down on Mary. She's not only skilled, but also successful as a bridal designer.
Designer? You mean she designs clothes?
Yes, Mary specializes in custom-made wedding dresses and is recognized in the industry.
She looked at me in disbelief. Ken then handed her a bridal magazine.
Take a look here. You'll see some of her dresses featured in this magazine, along with her name as a designer.
In the recent years, I had earned a solid reputation, and several of my designs have been highlighted in bridal magazines.
A high school graduate's name in a magazine? Impossible!
She stumbled back, looking defeated as she sat on the floor. Mother, didn't you know Mary's work? She's known as one of the top 5 designers in the industry. Her work was even showcased at our wedding.
Then why didn't you tell me?
I tried many times, Mother. But every time I tried, you dismissed me. I even wore my own design at our wedding to show you, but you didn't attend. I planned to reveal my work to her in a meaningful way, but she hadn't come to see it. She seemed lost in thought, muttering to herself.
Mary, you're a respected designer? And then why did the financial support stop this month? You must be doing well enough to keep it going.
Mother, you called us strangers. If you see us that way, then it's only fair that I stop the support. Strangers don't support each other financially.
But I have plans with my friends this month. Without the support, I won't have enough to enjoy my life.
Ken stepped in again.
Mom, Mary wasn't sending you money to fund your social life. She was fulfilling the condition you imposed. But you treated her and Lily as outsiders, despite her generosity.
Mary, please, don't cut off the support. That money brought joy to my life.
But you can still live off your pension, can't you? I don't have the resources to support someone who doesn't consider us family. She let out a desperate wail.
Mary, please. You're still family to me. All that happened was a misunderstanding. Please continue the support.
She looked at me with a smile I'd never seen before, a false, pleading smile. But I couldn't overlook how her misunderstandings had hurt both me and Lily deeply. I'm sorry, but that's not a little misunderstanding. Lily was hurt by it, and so was I. Ken and I have decided that it's best to cut ties with you. Emily turned to Ken, pleading with him.
Ken, please, don't cut ties with me. I have no one but you and Tom.
But, Mom, you hurt the people who are most important to me. I've appreciated everything you did for me, but I can't stay with someone who disregards my family. Have you ever apologized to Mary?
I'm sorry, Mary.
Tears streamed down her face as she begged for forgiveness. Ken looked at her conflicted.
But without the support, I'll be left with only my pension. I'll lose my social life and be alone.
Ken looked at her, shaking his head.
If that's what matters to you more than family, then I have nothing more to say.
After that, we officially cut ties with my mother-in-law. However, we continued to maintain a good relationship with Mia's family. Despite this, Mia also struggled with my mother-in-law's constant demands. Since I had stopped the financial support, my mother-in-law turned to Mia's family asking for help.
Mia, I'd love to go out with my friends this month, but I'm a bit short on cash. Could you possibly send me a little bit of support?
These kinds of requests became a regular occurrence, and Mia confided in me about the challenges. Although Mia's husband had a good job, they had their own financial responsibilities, including raising 2 young children and paying off a mortgage and car loan. They couldn't afford to support my mother-in-law's social life. Eventually, Mia's husband, Tom, had enough of the constant demands.
Mom, if you keep asking us for money every month, we're going to have to reconsider our relationship.
After that, she finally became less insistent with Mia's family. Though Mia hadn't completely cut ties with her, their relationship grew more distant. A few months later, I ran into Emily at a local supermarket in the evening. Ken had gone to pick up Lily, so I was alone. Work had been hectic lately with an increase in overseas orders, and I often traveled abroad for business. I stopped by the supermarket to pick up some ready-made dishes for dinner, hoping to save time. I was surprised to see my mother-in-law, who hadn't visited this store before. At first, I thought about avoiding her, but something unusual caught my attention. She was acting strangely, nervously glancing around the store. To my shock, I saw her slip some discounted items directly into her handbag. Emily. She spun around, startled.
Oh, Mary. This isn't what it looks like. I accidentally put it in my bag, thinking I'd put it in the cart.
She hurriedly returned the item to the shelf and left the store. It seemed I had inadvertently prevented her from committing a crime. A few months later, I heard from Mia that Emily had become a shut-in. She had been caught shoplifting multiple times and was now a known repeat offender in the area. Her reputation in the neighborhood suffered, and even the local children began calling her the shoplifting grandma. No longer able to bear the public shaming, she stopped going out altogether and isolated herself. She had once been highly social, often going out with friends, but now she avoided any social interactions. Perhaps this was the inevitable consequence of her actions. Years later, my work as a bridal designer gained global recognition. I became widely known after a famous artist wore one of my designs for their wedding. My career took me around the world, and I often traveled for business. One day, Lily looked at me with admiration and said,
Mom, you're amazing! When I get married, will you make my wedding dress?
Hearing that made me feel so proud and motivated. Although Lily's wedding is still a long way off, I promised myself to keep working hard until that day comes.